morning, people. Welcome back to F Politics. I'm sorry it's been a while. I've been going through literally days of footage from the COVID inquiry, so don't worry, that's still coming. But for now, I want to talk about where we are with Brexit and what we should expect from Labour after the next election, because as we all know, the Brexit debate has been over for a long time. It ended when the Tories, the people who brought us Brexit, started telling us how Brexit is making all of our lives harder.
Brexit was more traumatic, I think, for this sector than many others.
And I think we're now in that very difficult bit where the costs are obvious.
So you agree with Chris that it is costing?
I think it's
that we are paying the cost of Brexit in our food bills.
I think it has had some cost.
But we're losing people from London permanently. They're going to take up residence in other European countries with European citizenship because they can't operate, they can't pursue their careers by staying in London. It's about British citizens taking up citizenship in other countries because their career opportunities are so limited compared to what they were.
So why have we got the significant reduction in trade intensity that stayed low, whereas others have come back?
Yeah, as I said, without a doubt, we're changing our trading relationship with the EU, and that means a different set of controls and things that people will have to do, and that will obviously have an impact, and that, I'm sure, is a big part of the reason why this is happening.
Would membership of the single market be something that would boost growth and change our current economic outlook?
I think having unfettered trade with our neighbours and countries all over the world is very beneficial to growth.
The Union with Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and as he knows, it's under a lot of pressure caused by the Northern Irish Protocol, which I believe is undermining the balance of the Good Friday Agreement.
Vital drugs have not been able to be moved from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, 30 drugs, including cancer drugs. I think about 200 companies have stopped shipping stuff. There's been impediments to the movement of guide dogs, of parcels, of potted plants, of tractor parts.
And they've also admitted that Brexit will make our lives even harder when they start doing checks on imports from the EU on the 31st of January next year, which they've delayed doing 5 times because they know it will make prices go up even higher.
You're admitting that this could save £1 billion, which means that checks would have cost £1 billion. I thought post-Brexit checks were not going to be disruptive.
That's why we're not adopting them. This would have been an act of self-harm if we'd gone ahead with it. It would have increased costs for people, and we are trying to reduce costs. So that's the purpose of not going ahead with them and trying to ensure that the border flows as smoothly as possible, which benefits everybody. Free trade is hugely advantageous to consumers.
Do you know what impact this will actually have on prices in supermarkets?
Well, some costs, it would be quite significant. That if you look at small deliveries of things like cheese, you were talking about 71% increase maximum level on the retail price. And frankly, at that level, goods just wouldn't have come in.
Which brings us to Labour and the excuses that they're already making as to why things won't get immediately better when they win the next election. They keep saying that because we've had 14 years of Tory economic destruction, it's going to take a while to repair things. Basically saying that the money won't be there to look after people as much as they'd like. But we should only accept excuses like that if we know for sure that the Labour government is doing everything they can to help us. Now, of course, it's me, so given my background, I'm going to tend to view things through a Brexit lens. But I'm not the one saying that Brexit is taking 4% of our economy. I'm not the one saying that our government would have £40 billion a year more to spend on us if we were in the EU single market. So given that Brexit is taking £1,000 from the average household, it's making food cost more, it's set to make food costs even more in January, and the people of the UK are experiencing the sharpest fall in living standards ever recorded. If Labour comes into power and doesn't immediately tell the EU that we want back in the EU single market, which can be achieved in a matter of months, not years, which means agreeing to follow all the rules of the EU single market, the jurisdiction of the EU court, and free movement, which will lower the prices of the goods that we buy, help with our labour and NHS shortages, and help Brits to operate properly across Europe. If Labour doesn't do those things, then they can't really say they're doing everything they can to help us, and pointing the finger at the Tories is just the same old party political point scoring that you get in a two-party system where all they have to do is say, hey, at least we're not them, and then they get to be in power for the next 5 years. Anyway, it will be interesting to see whether the Tories delay the start of doing import checks for the 6th time because they know what it'll do to inflation. Because after all, the 31st of January is not that far away. Because there will be an election this year, which means that the party that won the previous election by promising to get Brexit done will be going into the next election having just refused to get Brexit done. Anyway, I'm Femi, this has been F Politics, so politics doesn't F you. Have a Merry Christmas.